Hello, my name is Micah, and tonight we're going to be talking about professional networking. Now, you might ask yourself, what is professional networking? Well, that's like a business relationship instead of a personal relationship where you meet someone and they help you get further than you could on your own. An example of that would be, let's say we both go to take a job interview. We're both equally skilled to the task, but when we get there, we find out that the interviewer is an old friend of mine and they have no idea who you are. Well, a nice part about this for me is that since they know me, they're more likely to give me the job than you because they may know that I have something from their past, but it's the connection that we make that really gives me the edge. Now, you don't have to know someone very well, but it does help. More than just knowing them, it's knowing them well. And in terms of getting to know people, you have to socialize. That takes practice for some people. Not everyone's great at socializing, but as long as you practice different ways of networking, anybody can be good at it. So let's talk about a few different ways that you can socialize. You can either do it in person or online. If you're going to socialize and professional network in person, a great way to do that is with networking mixers, elbow rubbing places where you can show up and party where other important people are who are in the same field that you're looking to get into, and you can meet them, put a name to the face, maybe exchange business cards, things like that. But if you can't do anything in person, another great option is online networking. You can use websites like Facebook or Instagram, depending on what you do. They can work, but the best thing you could do is LinkedIn. Of all the different business networking sites, LinkedIn is probably the most popular. It's got countless users. LinkedIn is specifically engineered to help get hired and make important connections. Now, in terms of these practicing methods you're going to do for networking, we're going to go over a couple main points. The main points here are going to be visible, be real, diversify yourself, and always give. Now there's going to be a couple more, but let's go into those other ones first. The first thing you can do is be visible. Being visible means that people have to know who you are. You have to make a name for yourself, have a strong presence wherever you're at. And this may seem simple, but it requires a lot of effort to constantly make sure that you're being seen. You have to make sure that you're using the right kinds of social media and you're using the right kinds of social skills in person to make sure that you meet a lot of people. The next point is to be real. This is real people we're dealing with. You're a real person, they're real people. You have to treat it like an actual relationship. This may be a broad topic, but we can break it down into listening, because listening is very important no matter what you're doing. Nobody wants to just be talked at the entire time. You have to listen to what they have to say. You have to be present. You have to be constantly in that zone. Say you're talking to someone and you're looking around and you're talking to them, but you're kind of doing this number. That's not good. You want to make sure that you're making eye contact, that you're keeping up with them, that you're remembering what they're saying while you're listening, and that you can carry on the full conversation. You also have to be honest, because in these kind of situations, there's no point in lying. It's not going to get you ahead in the end. You need to make sure that you stay honest, and that way people know exactly what you're after, what you need, and they can help you the best in those situations. And you have to take action. If you say you're going to do something for someone in these kind of business network relationships, you have to do it. If you're going to make a promise to be somewhere at a certain time, do it. Stay punctual, stay real. And you have to enjoy what you're doing. So if you're networking in areas where you have no interest, it's going to show. People are going to be able to tell that you don't care, and they're going to try to network with someone who's a little bit more into what they're into, the same way that you'd want to talk to someone who's into what you're into. Another thing you want to do is diversify. Diversifying means that you have to spread out and meet people that you may not think are in the exact field you want to go into. Maybe it's something similar, or maybe they are just a completely different kind of person than you are. They have different interests, and that'll help you get into the areas where you might not have even known you wanted to go. Say you meet someone who is into baseball, but you're a basketball player. Well, that baseball player may know a really good basketball coach through some manner of his life, and that leads to you knowing that great basketball coach. You just never know. You can't tell the future. So you have to be able to make these deep connections with other people that you may not have thought you needed. Now, the final of the main points is you have to be a giver. Nobody wants that person who just takes. In these kind of business network relationships, it's about giving as much as it is receiving. Because if you go through the entire relationship and all you ever do is take from that person, they're probably not going to want to stay a connection. But if you're giving them just as much as they're giving you, well, they'll be much more likely to be top of your list when something comes up, the same way you'll be top of theirs. Now let's go into those other points, because we have a couple more things we can talk about that every business networking professional will need. The first of which is to maintain these business relationships that we have. It might just be a call once per week, it might be a text once a month, but you have to keep up with people, because if you're non-existent, it goes back to the being visible area. You have to be seen and maintain these kind of relationships, and then again, it takes practice. And if you lose these relationships, that's not the end. You can always fix something, you can always rekindle a relationship. That may mean that you're shy, you don't know how to do it. That's okay. Just take a couple deep breaths, think of a few things ahead of time that you can talk about, send them the message. Now the next part of this goes right into that. It's that rejection is okay. Sometimes you're going to get rejected. You can't be friends with everybody, and not everybody's going to like you. But if you're not getting rejected at least once a day, you're not trying hard enough. You should be online or in person making enough attempts to network that they can't all say yes. And that's okay, just so long as you don't push or try to force something that won't happen. Which goes into the final point, which is to never, ever ask for favors too early or when it's an inappropriate time. That will come across as you being a user, mooch, someone who's just fake, and like rejection, you don't want to force something. If they don't want to do it, end of story. No more questions, that's it. Let it go and move on. The thing about not rushing it is these business relationships, this networking has to feel natural, it has to feel real. People don't want to say no. Nobody likes saying no. So if you make it a real relationship, a real meaningful relationship at that, they won't want to say no, and they'll go out of their way to help you the same way that you, in return, should go out of your way to help other people. And as long as you're a good example of what you would want out of a business relationship, it's much more likely that you'll end up finding the business relationships you're looking for. So in conclusion, following all these steps, you have to remember that everyone else does exactly the same things that you're going to do. They're people, you're a person. That's the key to networking. You have to remember it's really about who you know and how well you know them. Thanks.